Good morning. It's Wednesday, gentle yoga today. And our practice today is inspired by the gesture of the upper body. So we will have shoulder rolls, neck releases, and poses that stimulate the thyroid gland, helping us to become more increasingly in touch with all of our senses. Join me on the mat. First thing in the morning, or really at the beginning of any practice, I recommend that you find something to sit up on in your first easy seated Sukhasana pose of the day. I have this wonderful yoga meditation pillow that was provided to me by a friend, but you can also use a yoga block. You can use a bolster. You can use a folded blanket, whatever you have available in your home. And for our gentle morning practices, I also recommend blocks. So I'm going to get up and grab my blocks. I prefer these half blocks because I just like, I like the height of them, and I like how versatile they are. So each of these blocks is half of one regular block. So this is the size of a regular block. I like how easy they are to manipulate with my hands. You can choose your own composition of blocks. Some people have even made their own wooden blocks, although that seems a little heavy to me. I just get these less expensive ones that you can find at, TJ Maxx. Okay, so finding your way to your easy seated pose. I encourage you to sit up nice and tall. Allow your shoulders to fall softly and easily down and to wrap onto your back. When you're sitting up nice and tall, think of the crown of your head being drawn up to the ceiling, creating maximum length between each of your vertebrae. And when we create this space, we immediately encourage certain muscles to engage, such as our side waist and all of our solar plexus muscles going up and down the front of the body. But at the same time, when we do this, we encourage those muscles that are working that shouldn't be all the time to relax and allow space in the joints and allows, if you have any nerve compression, to be released. So if you are somebody that has struggled in the past with shoulder pain, with back pain, with neck pain, one of the very best things you can do is examine your posture and train your back to be in a healthy, well-aligned posture. So I'm going to show you this posture from the side. So you can see that when I'm sitting like this, my back is nice and tall and straight. And over time, we teach our body to maintain this position. And a lot of times, people have weakness in that area between the shoulder blades. So you can practice exercises of drawing your shoulder blades together. So I'm going to turn around so you can see me from behind. And I'm going to ask you to watch my shoulders and watch what they do. So you can inhale, draw your shoulders back, and just hold them there briefly. And when that becomes uncomfortable, just release. Inhale, draw those shoulders back, draw them down and away from the ears at the same time. Notice if you see those micro movements of my shoulders actually moving down. And then release them. And let's do that one more time. Inhale, draw your shoulders together and allow them to fall down just slightly, drawing the crown of your head up. And release. So that's an exercise, quite honestly, we can do anywhere at any time. So one of the things that I often tell people my own personal neck and shoulder story is much of our back pain is born out of misalignment and not engaging the right muscles. And we engage in a lot of daily habits, particularly when we're working or reading or looking at devices that kind of break down the health of our back. So one of the things might be the rolling of the shoulders forward, dipping the head down, allowing the weight of our cranium to be pulling against all of these facet joints and little micro muscles and ligaments all along the cervical spine. And when we're doing this, it increases actually the sensation of the weight of the head, and it actually increases it the more we bend it forward to look at things like our phones or a computer. And then when we get into this habit of rolling the shoulders and kind of leaning forward, or even leaning into our work all the time, even if we're keeping like a spine that seems like it's in alignment, that act of leaning forward to do our work instead of bringing our work closer to us, all of that serves to weaken all of the supportive structures of the torso. So it weakens our ab muscles, weakens our side waist, weakens our back muscles, and puts us out of alignment. And over time, we get used to that as the norm. Then we develop chronic pain. And we wonder, why can't I get rid of this chronic pain? I'm doing all of these different stretches and they're not helping. So for me, actually recently I had a pretty significant bout of tendinitis. It comes from the elbow, goes into the shoulder. I may have it in both locations. And I could not shake that sensation, that pain, for 6 months. It just would not ease up. It'd feel good when I did yoga. I'd go back to working and it would start all up again. So I started just a daily mindfulness around my own posture. And so the story fits in well to the mudra that we are influenced by today, which is the Yesta, it's hard to pronounce, Yesta Sharira Mudra. So this is that gesture of the upper body. And we'll take that mudra this morning also because it's also supportive of strengthening the shoulders and opening up the breathing of our upper chest. So I took on this mindfulness of this, and this mudra really helps us to become mindful of our sensations in the body, in tune with our senses. And so when we develop this mindfulness about what our body is doing in space all the time, we have the power to make our body feel much better through simple adjustments in our posture. It's not guaranteed for everybody, but I bet for many of us, it would be the case. Let's go ahead and take this gesture. So I'm going to turn my body around again so that you can see the proper placement of this gesture. So to do this gesture, we lift our hands overhead. Notice my shoulders coming down when I lift my hands overhead. I'm going to lift them halfway up, overhead, draw the shoulders down. Then bend your elbows and touch your upper back. And even descend your shoulders more so that you can widen your chest a little bit. And now I want you to breathe in and out through your nose, expanding your ribs while you do this. And we'll do this for about a minute. Make sure that your head is pulled into the same plane as your back, so draw the back of your head backwards. Just a few more seconds. And then go ahead and release on your exhale. Allow your hands to descend down to the top of your thighs near the knees, drawing your elbows close to the body, which allows your shoulder blades to draw together and allows your heart center to stack beautifully over your hips. Take a moment to observe what you feel now that we've done this. One of the qualities of this mudra is that it helps us to develop some energy and increase our vitality. So I often say that this is a gesture that you can use if you need a midday pick-me-up, a time of the day when you might be reaching for the coffee, when you're having your 3 o'clock low, that time when people might go take a walk so they can wake up. Maybe you're doing some tedious office work and you just can't keep your eyes open, or you're just feeling kind of like a zombie. This is a wonderful mudra for that, actually. It's wonderful to help you get in touch with this whole part of the body and kind of waken it up. And because you're doing this breathing in the upper chest instead of deep in the low lungs, it's not really designed to be a breath that calms us and centers us and grounds us. It's really meant to be a breath that kind of wakes us up. Now let's try that mudra again. Ideally, this is a mudra you might do for 5 minutes, but 5 minutes is a pretty long time if you're not used to holding your arms overhead. So this week I've been doing variations of this pose up to 3 minutes, but I've been breaking it up with some time in between each. So let's inhale our hands up again. Bend our elbows and tap our upper back, draw our shoulders back and down as we do our best to bring our elbows up. So just start to breathe for about a minute while expanding your upper ribs. And go ahead and exhale, drop your hands. Maybe this time close your eyes and examine, how do you feel? What parts of your body are waking up through this process? How would you rate your breathing right now? When we take time at the beginning of our yoga routine to really focus on specific breathing, we may find that we are awakened. And we may find breathing becomes so much easier than it might have been upon first sitting down at the mat. And let's do one more of those gestures. Only this time we're only just going to merely raise our hands overhead instead of bending our elbows. So inhale our hands up alongside our ears, so elbows alongside the ears. Focus on really drawing down those shoulders and breathing in your ribs. Go ahead and give it a start. And exhale, go ahead and lower down your hands. Once again, take a moment to enjoy what the aftermath of this breathing technique is. So this again is something you can do anywhere at any time, especially helpful when you want to have a little bit of a pick-me-up instead of a calm me down. And I feel, although it's morning time and I'm still in kind of a mellow zone, I'm feeling a little energized and I'm feeling a little oxygenated. And doing that with our arms brings blood flow in a different way to them. So with that being the case, let's go ahead and move into our movement portion of our routine this morning. So I'm moving my bolster aside and I'm moving into the center of my mat. So you at home, you probably have your body organized so that it is facing the front end of the short side of your mat. So taking tabletop pose, I would like you, as we talked about, to draw down your shoulders, draw the crown of your head forward, and draw your belly button up towards the spine while you allow your sits bones to float backwards. When you're in this position, I just want you to experience the strength of this pose. When we're in this pose, we're not allowing our back to sway down like this. We're really engaging the core. And I want you to take note of what those muscles feel like when they're engaged. Just by doing this alone, you are strengthening your back and you are strengthening your side muscles and you are strengthening your core and you are benefiting the health of your pelvis and your hips. Let's take cow by inhaling our heart center up, lifting up our sits bones, and opening up the throat while we draw our shoulders away from the ears, back and down. On your exhale, going into cat, draw your back up to the ceiling, tilt your tailbone, and drop your crown. Inhale, drop the belly, lift up the heart center, lift up your tailbone. Exhale, reverse the order of all that, drawing your spine up to the ceiling, dropping your crown. Inhale, reverse that order, lift up the heart center, lift up your sits bones, draw your shoulders down your back and away from your ears. Exhale, moving into cat. Inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. And inhale, return to that neutral spine again. And on your exhale, let's sit back on our heels as we tuck our toes, just initially stretching out the bottoms of our feet. You don't have to do this for long, but I recommend that it be done every single day. And go ahead and lean forward, flatten out your feet, and then sit back on your heels again. Encouraging deep bending of the knees. If you find this to be difficult, you certainly can take a block and place it underneath your bottom to provide you with some support. This block is a little bit high for me, considering that it's no higher, or a little low for me rather, considering that it's no higher than my heels, so I can place a second block on top to lift me up, or I can use the edge of a bolster, a blanket, or my meditation pillow to facilitate a little bit of height. You can play around with it, but these deep knee bends, they're very good for bringing synovial fluid to the joint and for encouraging what they call juicing of the joint. But when we do deep flexion of the knees, it actually is helpful to us to keep those ligaments active to prevent knee injuries. So I do a little bit of deep knee bending in every routine. So next we're going to go into some sundial poses or sunbird water, because those strengthen all of these transverse muscles in the abdomen and they strengthen the back. and they strengthen the spine or the abdominal muscles. So lift up your left leg to hip height with the toes facing the floor, keeping it as much as you can in the same alignment as your back itself. So you can lift it higher, but really I'm asking for you to keep it parallel to the floor. Then take your right hand alongside your right ear, your arm right alongside your right ear. And then I want you strengthening your muscles of the abdomen by drawing the belly button in, at the same time stretching your right arm out and your left heel backwards, really creating as much length as you can in this pose while not allowing your lower back to dip into an arch. Take another inhale and reach as far as you can. And then on your exhale, drop your right hand, drop your left knee, lift up your right foot. Same thing, keeping it parallel to the mat. Lift up your left hand, drawing your left ear or your left arm close to the left ear. Drawing the belly button up to the spine and then creating length. Drawing the right heel back as you draw your left hand forward. Take one more inhale and reach. And then exhale, drop your left hand, drop your right knee. Inhale into cow. Exhaling into cat. Inhaling into cow. Exhaling into cat. And inhale again into cow. And exhale into that neutral spine. Let's widen our knees, toes together, sitting back in child's pose, and reach our hands out as far as we can get them. Placing our forehead, if available, onto the mat. And feel that sensation of releasing all of your back by creating as much length as you can. And just breathe. So one of the benefits of child's pose is that it is tremendously grounding, calming, nurturing to the nervous system. When you add to that, placing your forehead on the mat, you can also place it on a block. I'll demonstrate. So you can even have your head lifted if you find this more comfortable. But by having your forehead in contact with the block, you are stimulating ajna, the third eye chakra. This is the source of our intuition, our ability to turn inward. So it's a wonderful way to reconnect with yourself, reconnect with your senses. And it helps to combat depression, and it helps to combat anxiety. Whenever I encourage my students to place their forehead on a block, they all tell me that they can feel that sensation emanating from that one space. Take another inhale in child's pose. Exhale, rise up. If you've placed a block underneath your forehead, you can set that aside. And we're going to go into some twists while we're in this pose. So take your right arm and thread it underneath your left arm and lay down across your right shoulder. Still your legs in child's pose, gently opening up your hips. Feeling a nice opening of the back of your right shoulder feeling a release of tension from your shoulder to your ear. So this is a nice pose to practice when you need to release tension from the neck, when your shoulders are feeling tight. Twisting poses also facilitate healthy digestion. And they help stimulate the adrenal glands. Rise up, change hands, thread your left arm underneath your right, and lay back down, expanding the length between your left ear and your left shoulder, and feeling that gentle stretch along the back of your left shoulder. And this also encourages a little bit deeper opening of our hips. So I often tell people, and it's supported through much of the reading I do on various yoga groups daily, that our hips, when they are tight, lead to tightness in the middle and upper back, which then leads to tightness in the shoulders and the neck. So guess what? It's all connected. And so when we do things to benefit our hips, we are also doing things to benefit the neck and shoulders. Let's rise out of this pose. Reach forward again into child's pose. Take the block if you choose, or place your forehead directly on the floor. The choice is yours. One more inhale. Rising up. And let's find our way into Sukhasana, sitting, facing the same direction we were in, so that you can see what happens now that we've opened up the lower back and the hips a bit, and we've created some length in the spine. So now I can sit just as comfortably on the floor as I was sitting on my meditation pillow. And while we are sitting here, you are welcome to take a block and place it underneath you, or sit back on a pillow, it's fine. But let's go ahead and take a spinal twist. So sit up nice and tall, drawing the shoulders back and down. Always be thinking, when you're doing this, you are releasing tension from the neck, releasing tension from the shoulders, drawing our back of our head into the same plane as our back. Oh, Peter, we have a student. Oh, good morning. So nice to have you join us. We're actually not that far in, so I'm glad to have you here this morning. Good morning. So I was saying, let's just sit in easy seated pose. We've just done some cow cats. We've done some sunbird. We've done some child's pose with twists. And now we're sitting nice and tall, back in easy seated pose, which you can choose to sit on your block, or you can choose to sit on a pillow. Your choice, yogi's choice. But I was talking about the importance of releasing the neck by allowing the shoulders to come down the spine, allowing the back to be in the same plane as the back of your body. And in doing so, by doing this, you are naturally releasing your neck, releasing tension from the shoulders and the neck. So let's go into some easy spinal twists. So I would like you to inhale. And on the exhale, just turn your body to the right. See how far you can turn it without using your arms to anchor you. And if you desire, place your right hand behind you, place your left hand on your thigh, take an inhale, draw the crown of your head up a little bit higher, And then on your exhale, draw your right shoulder back. This is our first true twist of the day. We don't want to overdo it. It is Wednesday morning yoga, gentle yoga. And so when we are this time of the morning, our body isn't as fluid yet. So we don't want to overdo any of these twists or stretches that we're in. Take another inhale. And then on the exhale, return to neutral, looking forward. Take a nice inhale. Drawing the crown of your head up nice and tall. And then on your exhale, just turn to the left. And then place your left hand behind you if you desire. Placing your right hand on your right leg, your left leg. Draw your crown up as you breathe in. And then on your exhale, deepen your twist. Just don't overdo it. Take another inhale. Exhale, return back to neutral. Place our hands behind us. Now, if you want, we can do a little experiment. We can actually take our blocks and place them behind us. Having our hands down to the floor is not easy. So you can place your hands on the blocks as well. And you can focus on drawing your shoulder blades together, drawing your elbows together, and lifting up your heart center, lifting up slightly out of your ribs. Just breathe as you draw your shoulder blades and elbows together, lifting your heart center up as high as you can get it. Take one more inhale, and then exhale, release that. And let's walk our hands forward. I want you to hinge at your hips, so you're still sitting in easy seated pose, Sukhasana. And I want you to hinge at your hips. Watch what my spine is doing. Notice how it remains pretty straight. And then I draw my shoulders down, and I draw my elbows close to my ribs and lift them up a little bit. And I'm just hinging forward. And then maybe you want to walk your hands forward if that feels good. But I recommend still keep your elbows bent, still draw your shoulders onto your back, and use this as an opportunity to focus the stretch on the outside of your right hip if your right foot is in front of your left, or your left hip if your left foot is in front, whichever foot is in front. And if you desire, you can even place your elbows on the floor, and you can clip your elbows back as you draw your shoulders back and draw the crown of your head forward if you want, kind of taking Cobra arms in this forward fold while we're seated. So the goal is not to lay down on the floor. The goal is to stretch out the back of that right hip. So by doing a hip release, we are in fact doing a shoulder and neck release at the same time. The benefits to the upper body when we work out the lower body are felt later on. Take another inhale, exhale, and then inhale, rise up. Switch your feet. I'm placing my right foot behind my left. And let's go ahead and take our blocks behind us again. If you had blocks, just place your hands behind you. And once again, we'll draw our shoulders together, draw our elbows together, lift up the heart center, lifting up and out of our pelvis a little bit while our sit bones are still in contact with the floor. And while you do this, breathe deeply. Perhaps expanding the ribs as we did in the early part of the class. Take another inhale. And then exhale, you can release all of that. place your blocks off to the side. Placing our hands on our thighs again as they were, drawing our elbows back as if we're going into low cobra, drawing our heart center forward, hinging at the hips. It's totally acceptable if this is where you want to be. You can place your hands on the floor and do the same thing. You can walk your hands forward and continue to draw your shoulders onto your back as you hinge forward. And you can place your elbows on the floor if you want, in cobra arms or in sphinx arms rather. Drawing your shoulders back and down as you stretch out the back of your left hip. Encouraging a gentle release of the hip, a gentle release of the inside of the pelvis where the crease of the thigh is. Take another inhale and exhale, rise up. And let's do some sun salutations. Believe it or not, we're already 40 minutes into this practice. How does the time go so quickly? It's only everybody's guess. Go ahead and stand up, rising up into Tadasana. And in your Tadasana pose, I would like you to draw your shoulders back and down, draw the belly button in, allow the tailbone to naturally fall as you draw the crown of your head up high to the ceiling. And when we're standing in this nice tall Tadasana, you'll feel the engagement. As we focused on earlier in the practice, you'll feel the engagement of all of these sideways muscles and all of these muscles up and down the abdomen. And you'll feel the muscles of your back working as you're drawing your shoulder blades down and together. And I encourage you right now to just stand here and breathe, expanding your ribs as you breathe. Take one more breath. Exhale. Inhale, bring your hands up and overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips, bend your legs deeply, laying your torso across your thighs. Drop your crown. Placing your hands on your shins, inhale into a flat spine, still keeping your legs nicely bent as you draw your shoulders away from your ears, back and down. Exhale, drop your crown. Take your right foot back into a lunge and drop your right knee. Move your blocks back in alignment with your hip. Draw your shoulders back and down as you lift up your heart center. And then on your exhale, take your left knee back to join the right and walk your hands forward in puppy dog, keeping your hips nice and high. Your first puppy dog, we have been doing some chest openings, so you might have the extension to place your forehead on the mat. Take a nice deep inhale and a full exhale. And then on your inhale, rise up. Grab your block, and on your exhale, bring your right foot forward. Inhale, lift up your heart center. And then on your exhale, tuck your left toes and bring your left foot to join the right, keeping your legs bent deeply. Inhale into that flat spine, exhaling down, and then inhaling all the way up. Exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhale. Exhale the hands down. Inhale our hands up. Exhale, bending the legs deeply as we swan dive our torso over our hips, dropping our crown. Inhaling into that flat spine, placing our hands on our shins. Exhaling down and taking our left foot back, dropping the left knee. Bringing our blocks back in alignment with our hips as we rise up on the inhale with our heart center. And then on our exhale, we take our right knee back to join the left, and we walk forward into puppy dog pose. Taking a nice inhale and a full exhale. Inhale, rise up. Take our left knee forward, our left foot forward. On the inhale, rise our heart center up. And then on our exhale, take our right foot to join the left, keeping our legs deeply bent as we inhale into a flat spine. Exhaling down. And then inhale, rise all the way up to standing, hands overhead. Exhale, hands down to heart center in prayer pose. Inhale. Exhale the hands down. Inhale the hands up. Exhale, swan dive forward, bent legs again. Right foot back. Inhale, lift up the heart center. Maybe this time you're moving your hips forward to open up your left hip. Exhale, drawing your left knee back to join the right. And walking your hands forward in puppy dog pose as we allow our forehead to drop to the mat. Stretching out the front of the chest. Take a nice inhale and walk back. On your exhale, bring your right foot forward. Inhale your heart center up, perhaps moving your hips forward. And then exhale, tuck your left toes and bring them forward to join the right foot. Inhale into that flat spine, exhaling down. Inhale, rising all the way up, hands overhead, hands together. Exhale, bringing them down to heart center in prayer. Take a nice inhale. Exhaling our hands down, inhaling our hands up. Exhale, swan dive forward, bent knees, bringing your left foot back, dropping your left knee. Inhale, rise up the heart center, perhaps bringing your hips forward. Exhale, bringing your right knee back to join the left and walking forward into that puppy dog pose. Take a nice inhale. Fully exhale and reach. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, bring your left knee forward. Inhale your heart center up as perhaps you bring your hips forward. And then on the exhale, tuck your right toes, bringing the right foot to join the left. Inhale into that flat spine, exhaling down. Inhale, rising all the way up, hands overhead. Exhaling them down to heart center, prayer pose. One more inhale. Exhale your hands down. Inhale your hands up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Laying your torso across your thighs. Take your right foot back. Drop your knee. Let's inhale our heart center up as we allow our hips to come forward. And then on our exhale, let's move back into half monkey, moving our hips back in space. Our toes are tucked so we're nice and high, and allowing our left toes to peel off the floor to start to stretch out the back of our left leg. And just drawing the heart center forward. And by doing so, we are encouraging a gorgeous stretch all along the back of our left leg. I don't want you to feel this in the lower back, so keep your heart lifted. Draw the shoulders away from the ears and down again in this effort to release tension from the neck and shoulders. Take one more inhale. And then exhale. Bring the left foot back to join the right. Drop your blocks. Walk forward into the puppy dog pose. Take a nice inhale. Take an exhale. Inhale, rising up. Grab our block. Take our right foot forward. Inhale the heart center up, drawing our shoulders back and down, perhaps moving our hips forward. And then on our exhale, we're tucking our toes, moving our hips back, keeping our right heel in place as we allow our toes to lift up off the floor and starting to stretch out the back of the right leg. Again, keeping our chest nice and high as we stretch out the back of our right leg. Drawing the shoulder blades onto the back, drawing the ears and shoulders away from one another. Take one more inhale. On your exhale, go ahead and move forward. Lift up your left knee and bring your left foot to join the right. Inhale into that flat spine and then exhale down. You might find you have some more space in your legs now that you've done a little bit of stretching of the back of the legs. Inhale, rising all the way up, hands overhead. Exhale, bringing the hands down to heart center in prayer. Inhale. Exhale your hands down. Inhale your hands up. Exhale, swan diving forward. Hands to the floor, to the blocks, drop your crown. Inhale into that flat spine. And then on our exhale, we take our left knee back or left foot back, dropping our left knee. Inhaling our heart center up. And then on our exhale, we're moving back again into that half monkey on the right side. Repeat this on both sides again. Drawing the heart center forward as we draw our right hip backwards. Not overstretching, recognizing your edges and honoring those edges. Just playing with the boundaries. Take a nice inhale. On your exhale, bring your right knee back and walk your hands forward, placing your forehead on the floor, keeping your hips beautifully lifted. Take a nice inhale. Exhale. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, bring your left foot forward. On your inhale, lifting up your heart center as you allow your shoulders to fall back and down. And then on your exhale, moving into that half monkey again, peeling the toes off the floor as we move our hips back in space. Drawing the heart center forward, but not necessarily down. Nice stretch all along the back of the left leg. Once again, playing with the edges and not going beyond them, just playing with them. Encouraging a stretch without having any pain. One more inhale. And then on your exhale, bring your right foot to join the left. Inhale into that flat spine. Exhaling down. And then inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. And just feel you've moved the body. We're moving oxygen through the body. Take a moment to connect with your senses. That's part of what this mudra is about. So observe any sounds that may be taking place in your room. I can hear the clicking of all of my clocks. Observe what you see. Are your eyes open? Are they closed? I'm able to see beautifully lit trees in my front yard, surrounded by the ambiance of Christmas. with my lit tree here, looking at a countdown to Christmas, 24 days of awesome Advent activities calendar. Maybe if your eyes are closed, you see flashes of light, different visions and shapes, maybe colors. How about smell? As you breathe in and out of your nose, is there any smell? Do you have a candle going? Do you have an air freshener? Is it neutral? What's the quality of the breath going in and out of your nostrils? How about taste? I realize we're not in front of a plate right now, but I started off this morning with a cinnamon mint in my mouth. But you might observe what the tongue is doing right now. Is it tense? Is it pressing up against the roof of your mouth? Or is it able to relax down? And then finally, our sense of touch. We have all 10 of our fingers pressed together in this prayer pose. What other feelings do you have throughout the body? What's the quality of how your feet are touching the mat? I can feel all the 10 pads of my toes touching the mat. I can feel my heel. I can feel a little bit of the outside of my feet. And I feel wonderfully connected and a firm foundation. So let's make our way down to the mat, however you choose to get there. I'm just crouching down. I'm going to use my blocks to encourage me to sit down, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay down. We're going to do, before we settle into Shavasana, we're going to do some reclined spinal twists. For now, I encourage you to bend your legs so your feet are in contact with the floor and your knees are facing the ceiling. Then widen your feet just slightly and allow your hips to fold in and your knees to touch each other. And maybe your toes are kind of angled in as well, all facing each other. And take notice of what this feels like to have your arms wide and to be internally rotating your hips this way, allowing your entire spine as much as possible to have contact with the floor. And just get into the breath and feel what that feels like. I'm finding this to be tremendously calming. Take your left leg over your right. So you're crossing it over. And then just use the weight of your left leg to bring your right leg down and release that hip. So this will be the nature of the twist right now. Opening up this top of the hip here. Take one more inhale. Exhale, rise up your right knee. Put your knees together again and just sit there for a moment. Take another nice inhale. And then on your exhale, take your right leg and cross it over your left. And then twist slightly down to the right. Again, using the weight of your right leg to open up that left top of your hip. And just breathe. Notice the difference in one side versus the other. If you feel any discomfort, back out of it just a little bit. Take another inhale. And then on your exhale, rise up your knees. Place your feet and your knees together. And lift up your knees, hugging them tightly. Exhale, lower back down. Having your arms both outstretched to either side, drop your knees to the right. Maybe place your hand on top of the left knee to encourage a little bit more of a stretch in this reclined spinal twist. Take one more inhale. Exhale, bring your left hand over to join your right. In one motion, move your entire body to the neutral central position. Take your arms out to either side. Take a nice inhale. And then on your exhale, go ahead and drop your knees to the left. Take one more inhale. And then on your exhale, take your right hand to join your left hand at your legs, and then move the entire body in one motion to the middle. Take one more hug of the legs. And then go ahead and release them down. You can leave your legs bent if you want, heels and feet on the floor, knees facing the ceiling. That's one variation. You can take bound angle, Tadasana, and you can have your knees butterflied out to either side with the soles of your feet together. You can go all the way into full Shavasana by stretching out the legs towards the short end of the mat. Laying here with our palms facing the ceiling, drawing our shoulders down to the mat, allowing them to fall gently to the mat. Start to scan your body, looking for any areas of tension you may be holding. Take a nice deep inhale, and then on your exhale, release any of that tension you may be holding. And while you're breathing in and out, take notice of the quality of your breath. And take in your environment through the five senses like we did earlier. As you lay here, maybe you can set an intention for the rest of your week to be mindful of your sensations, of your senses. At the end of each practice, you are encouraged to take Savasana to calm the nervous system, to fall into a deep state of relaxation, and to integrate all of the benefits of your practice. You are welcome to stay here as long as you want, but I encourage you to stay at least 5 minutes. The yogi in me sees the yogi in you. Thank you for joining me this morning for gentle yoga. Tomorrow night we will have vinyasa flow. Please visit my YouTube channel and like my channel, and please share with others. Namaste, and have a beautiful rest of your Wednesday.